Hello, what's going on everybody? This is Zeno again, and this is 3.2. And my first successful build that's in maps is, you guessed it, the old Brutus's Lead Sprinkler. Reasons being is, you can get this from Bestiary. If you don't know yet, you can create all sorts of unique items from Bestiary. This is a level 28 item level minimum requirement, so it's pretty easy to obtain this by trying to roll unique scepters. Unless item level has nothing to do with it. It's still common as hell, and Einhar is dropping them like crazy. If this item were to be nerfed in the future, I would see GGG making this item more rare. But this is the league where you can get this without using divination cards or Torment on Zana. Zana still doesn't have Torment to the best of my knowledge, and the divination cards can still very much give you BLS, whether it's Jack in the Box, it's Series Arsenal, and Time Lost Relic. But Bestiary gives it to you. I've crafted 2 this league. I bought another one for 3 Chaos and another one for 4. So I have 2 sitting in here. I have another one set up for later on the build. A build later on in the league. I plan on using, I perfectly rolled one for the Baroness, if you remember that build. I want to actually execute that because this is so cheap this league. Last league they were going for about 13 Exalts non-corrupted, 5 to 7 Exalts corrupted, depending on the corruption. And if you landed Fire Leech, which is the only good corruption on this from your series arsenal, it might be worth a bit more. So I am playing a Deadeye. So today I want to talk about everything Deadeye, and Gathering Winds, which gives you the buff Tailwind, is one of the coolest things in the game. It is acceleration buff, a mini acceleration shrine buff. We can officially get it. And TLDR, what it does is it gives you a multiplier to all things speed. It gives you a buff called Faster, 10% to you and your allies. And it also becomes up to 20% faster because you get an additional 1% every time you use an ability within a 4-second time period. Starts at 10, goes 11, 12, 13, 14, all the way up to 20. And a 20% faster buff will give you a 1.2 multiplier to attack speed, cast speed, movement speed, to the best of my knowledge, totem placement speed, trap throwing speed, mine laying speed, and I'm sure various other things. I've heard it even does like recovery, how you function quicker. So every time you use an ability, you just get faster and faster and faster, and that's even without my totem. And you keep it up forever. All you have to use is an ability. That's it. So I went with Molten Strike while leveling, and I'm debating on going Frostblades or Lightning Strike when I pick up +1 chain. This will give me great clear speed, but not very good single target. Lightning Strike is a skill that's like in between. It has decent single target and decent clear. Actually has really good clear. It just gets tripped up by abysses, any type of crack, ledges. You know, if you have a difference of ledges, good luck. Lightning Strike. Pebbles on the ground even. It did not get the Glacial Cascade treatment or the Sunder treatment. Feels bad. So in terms of clear, great if you don't have any contingencies. Frostblades will be really good clear, but pretty bad single target for Brutus's Lead Sprinkler. And then the last one is Molten Strike, which I would then pick up Endless Munitions, which is the highest single target, and it's mediocre clear. It's the worst clear of the 3 abilities. So I'm currently using it to level up. Let's go show a Barrows map. I'm running Barrows because right now I'm farming loyalty. I need to 6-link my chess piece. In terms of my Atlas, I'm 26 of 127, and I'm farming tier 5 maps right now. And I'm selling all the the map bases I don't really like. I'm selling them for 1 to 2 fuse each. And I'm selling all of the meta maps for 2 fuse, Toxic Sewers, even up to 3 fuse. I have yet to sell any of those. In fact, I haven't even run Toxic Sewers yet, so I'm not actually selling them for 3 fuse. I plan on selling them for 3 fuse. Have to correct that. But I've been selling maps to make fusings, running this for loyalty, as well as picking up 6 sockets fusings. I'm trying to get a 6-ling, and this is my strat this league. So anyone can kill white mobs, so I'm not here to impress anyone with white mobs. I want to show with a 5-link and without elemental overload. I'm working towards that now. You do pretty decent damage with BLS as a Deadeye, especially with that attack speed multiplier. Fire Shot does give you damage. I have to swap out Ancestral Call for Wed against bosses, but I don't mind. Okay, that was it. Okay, well, that's a nice set of desync there. When in doubt, blame GGG. And this is a boss with endurance charges. That's all he's got. It's pretty Well, oh, cool. I didn't even know that was an objective. Sweet. So there's my single target with a Junkie 5 link on. I'm currently rocking 1100 strength without 4 strength multipliers. So I have Alvern's Warpath, which is the easiest to get. That is a pair of boots. It gives you 18% increased strength. If at any point in time you want to see my gear, you can look at the links down below. I have exclamation point profile. Let me just capture this. Let's see. I need to get Emperor's Mastery, which requires Uber Lab farmers to farm Uber Lab, so we're going to have to be patient for that. That gives me 7% increased all attributes. It's a jewel. Then there is Elder Belts and Shaped Necks. But Zolf's Blood is BIS if we're playing Brutus as Lead Sprinkler. So Zolf's Blood will give me 10% increased strength, and Elder Belts will give me up to 12% all attributes. So that's my plan. In terms of damage and attacks per second, pretty happy with the result for this build. Especially considering, you know, Deadeye needed movement speed, and she finally got it. So the more attack speed and the more movement speed you get, the better Deadeye is. Because she has a multiplier to those functions, running Haste Aura is actually worth the requirement. I could run Anger if I get an Elder's, what's it called? A Watcher's Eye dropped from Elder, and where we get 15 Fire Pen for wearing Anger, but that is on the grand scheme of things. I do play Hardcore League. This is Hardcore League, and getting that stuff early on is hard to do, considering most people would probably keep that for themselves or make a build around it. Oh, cool, Zana. I'll do that after this YouTube video. Far Shot does give you damage because it is a moving projectile. However, it doesn't give you the full 30 all the time, I believe. It does travel pretty far, some of my Molten Strikes, so the last ones to fall will get a higher multiplier from Far Shot than the ones that fall immediately. Point Blank can be used with Far Shot. It will give damage. I don't pick it up on my tree. And I'm using Inertia to get a good amount of my strength early on. And it's really fun because this is the most I've ever gotten from converting. Inertia is the jewel that turns Dexterity to Strength. Usually I'm playing a Witch with this and I'm converting into Strength, but with this build, it's a little bit different. I'm not sure if I went into here. Did I? Yeah, I did. That's the arena. They said they made barrows better for pack size. And they made them by making the map smaller, and I believe it. And I'm using Charge Dash as my movement skill. I can't believe I haven't talked about that yet. The only thing Charge Dash needs is movement speed. That's it. And because I get a multiplier to movement speed, and I have a lot of different movement speed options on my character, we're pretty good. There's more than 50 remaining. It's probably in one of these tombs. It's my least favorite thing about this map. But I've cleared the entire top part. I'm not running back to a tomb. Alright, let's talk about the math behind this build. So, build first, math second. We get 2 times the accuracy rating, and despite getting this, I still did not want to go crit. I still want to go Elemental Overload. I think it's better for the Deadeye, because the only real crit I could pick up is here, and then like dual wield crit, and then crit here. Or I have to path up to the Shadow Tree, pick up this accuracy and crit, convert all of this dex to strength, including this and this, and then pick up crit here. And I found out my character was going to be much squishier, and I think I get more damage just by going EO, because when we put efficient training in here, all of this is strength. We get a life wheel here, 20 strength here, 30 strength here, and a multiplier, and we also get life here. So I think Elemental Overload's better than going crit into the Shadow, because I won't even have that much crit chance anyways, and I would be forced to use a Diamond Flask. Alright, speaking of flasks, I don't even have a good secondary flask yet. I've been trying to roll an Eternal, so if you are going to look up this character online, this is a piece of flask, I think is the best way to call it. I prefer Quartz Warding, but Granite's good. Assault Warding, Basalt Warding is very good too. Wise Oak is mandatory. Adrenaline Quicksilver is probably going to be removed Freeze Quicksilver eventually. I'll take the freeze off of this, go strictly Bleed, and then put in another unique jewels or a unique flask of some kind, like Roomies is pretty good in this build. Running Roomies with a Quartz Warding or Basalt Warding with a Wise Oak. I'll probably go Roomies with Quartz for the dodge. Dodge is OP. I'm using Pure Talent again. If you guys saw any of my old Brutus's Lead Sprinkler builds, Pure Talent's great. In this case, it's giving me 25 attributes, 1% attack damage, leeches life, it's 7% movement speed. Movement speed is then multiplied. I have a bunch of contingent movement speed on the tree, which is all going to be multiplied by Tailwind. Tailwind is such... This stat, guys, I cannot explain to you how amazing Deadeyes are for party play because they give party members Tailwind, and you go up to 20% faster for yourself. Party members don't get that. They only get the 10. It's so good. Earlier I was talking about inertia. So in this case, inertia is converting all of my dex to, say, strength. If you see here, it says 10 plus 10 strength. So any dex node within this circle is now strength. And I found a way to efficiently path and pick up all of this dex. Accuracy is great because it's doubled. And I get 20 strength at the end of it with attack speed, which is one of the best scaling stats for a raw elemental, a flat elemental damage spec. Also over here we get a bunch of strength, and we even convert this strength dex node to be just a 20 strength, and this dex int node to be 10 strength. So let's count how much strength we have. We have 10, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 100, 110, 112, 130, 140 plus 23 is 163 strength from this inertia setup. You can come down here if you're playing hardcore or softcore and you want the additional 5 pen. I just didn't want to spend 5 points. It is a lot of damage. You do get some other good stuff, but I'm not really playing a shock or freeze build to really help me out with this. It's just ignite and 5 pen for 5 points. Most people pass this up. Now, granted, this node here is only 2 pen and it's not 5, but by that same logic, it's pretty clunky for me to go out of my way for this, and I don't think it's worth it. It might be, maybe. This needs to be improved upon. I have an Onslaught Jewel. I still need to pick up a Frenzy Charge, and like I said, EO. I worked my way over here, and I did get Lava Lash instead, and I do have this Wed here, and 2 more life nodes. Sitting at 6.3k life with really bad gear. Like, what is this? This thing is absolute trash. And I have a 6-link... or 6 socket I've been trying to turn into a 6-link. It's an item level 84 Astral Plate. So I've been doing the fuse game again and trying to get this guy set up. It's a humble chess piece. I could probably even break it and make something better than this. But I just want a 6-link. It's item level 84. So just trying to craft. We don't have percent attributes here. We're going to be using Zolf's Blood eventually. My helmet's pretty set for a while. It could be better, but I'm happy with it. Because I have Tailwind as the Deadeye, this shield is actually pretty good. A 9% movement speed base when you have this guy, which means that you don't lose any movement speed from any piece of your gear. It's just raw movement speed, 9% base. I crafted strength on it. Normally you can't get strength on evasion bases, and it's got solid life and resistances. You can essence craft these shields and hope for the best. You know, the 50 plus strength essence crafting on these shields is amazing to do for this build because you get 9% movement speed. It's good to do in any build, honestly. If you're playing a crit variant, there's no reason not, or there's minor reasons why you wouldn't want to consider doing that. Movement speed's great. It works for shield charge too. What else do we have going on in this build? Oh yeah, Farshot, I was explaining you. I don't think you'll always get the 30% extra damage. 30% more damage the farther they travel, but you do get some. And by that same logic, I don't think you lose any damage from point blank. So point blank Farshot will actually work for this build because when I use Molten Strike, they don't travel far enough for me to take negative damage from point blank. In fact, I'll always get damage from point blank. But they're still traveling, so I'll still get damage from Farshot. So you can make a Farshot point blank Deadeye, and it would work with Molten Strike. However, I haven't picked up Point Blank because I may be picking up Chain instead of Endless Munitions and just turning this into a Frostblades and/or Lightning Strike build, and I have both of them leveling up here. I leveled with Frostblades till about level 60, and then I put on Lightning Strike and went back and forth through testing which one I liked more. And then I put on Molten Strike when I hit maps because I want bosses that have too much HP. I think I actually put on Molten Strike before Katava. I just wanted to make sure I was killing bosses because early Atlas, you actually have to do that. So I may turn this into a chain build. I haven't decided what will be the best bet, and I'll take any insight that you guys may have. I think, obviously, with Molten Strike, you get 100% conversion with Avatar of Fire. And I do have a iron grip because of how much strength I have. It ends up being damage, a good amount. So Molten Strike is the highest single target, the lowest clear speed. Frostblades is the highest clear speed, potentially, but the lowest single target. Lightning Strike is really good clear speed, but fails short on any type of depth. Cracks, pebbles, interrupt it. So because of that, no matter how fast the clear speed is, you have to deal with the execution of the skill and the mechanics of the skill holding you back. But its single target is tolerable because you do get the extra melee damage. Molten Strike gets the melee damage and the projectiles for single target, and nothing can touch it. You can try Spectral Throw. Spectral Throw cannot chain, and you would have to go Endless Munitions. So you could do that, but the area of effects kind of wasted. The proj is pretty weak. If you go Spectral Throw, you could bleed, so you get crit chance and crit multi. So you could play a crit variant of that and put on 2 Brutus's Lead Sprinklers, go Twin Terrors, pick up just the first 3 nodes towards fencing. You don't pick up fencing. And that's 80 crit and 125 crit, paired up the crit here, and then you'd go up to Shadow. If you were to do that variant as this build, you would put another Inertia here instead of coming over to Efficient Training and Elemental Overload. You put Inertia in here and you pick up all of this Dex, Life, and there is Strength here and Strength here, so it's not wasted to come over here and pick up this crit multi. You get 30 Strength combined with these two. Inertia gives you up to 24, 10, 20, 30, 40, 60, 80 at a minimum. If you come up this way, you can even get more, but you will come up this way because you want Forces of Nature. Yeah, if you come up this way, you also get another 30 Strength. So you're not left out to dry here. If you do decide to play a crit variant, you would have to try your best to not convert 100%. But if you use Avatar of Fire, Rupture is useless. If you go Pierce, you also get proj chance for piercing too. So you could play Lightning Strike and or Frostblades as Pierce and still pull off these shenanigans. If you were to play Wild Strike, you would not play Deadeye. So anyone who's like, why not Wild Strike? Wild Strike's projectile is only the cold portion. The fire portion is tagged AoE, and the lightning portion is tagged chain. So you don't need that for Deadeye. It'd be pretty garbage, honestly. So Wild Strike is better suited for things like Raider, Pathfinder, Juggernaut, Chieftain even. That's my opinion on everything there is to say about what skills to play. I'd like to hear you guys' opinion. Should I try out... I'm going to, at a minimum, I promise you, try out Frostblades and Lightning Strike with the chain. If I don't like it, or you guys think it's not worth it as well, we could take opinions. It's only 10 regret points to go over to Endless Munitions and stick as Molten Strike. Again, what makes Deadeye is gathering wins. I think this is something Deadeye has needed forever, which was movement speed. Considering a projectile build is generally speaking stuck with bows or wands and lacking movement speed. Movement speed scales charge dash, it scales shield charge, it allows bows to actually run around, and you get cooldown recovery, 50% or 100% increased blink arrow, mirror arrow, cooldown recovery, which means I think it's a 4-second cooldown generally speaking, and now it's a 2-second. It could be 3-second, and now it's 1.5. It's just whatever the cooldown is halved. There's a lot that you could do with Deadeye. I think she is a top tier class, and at a minimum, she will be solid. Like, she is fundamentally sound, and the Deadeye needed this buff. She needed the movement speed. No one ever contested her damage, but we absolutely needed gathering wins. Honestly, in my opinion, this should be the first thing you picked up in every single normal difficulty as Deadeye, because I don't think anything else can give you what this gives you. A multiplier to attack speed, cast speed, and movement speed. Lastly, as a tidbit before we go, I will not be playing this build for a long time. I plan on playing other builds. This is just my fund it beginning of the league map build. If I were to play Deadeye again, which I plan to later in the league, I'm going to try a Pledge of Hands, Gathering Winds, Caster, Projectile, Deadeye, because her nodes are no longer projectile attack damage, they're projectile damage. The accuracy is indeed wasted, but Far Shot, projectile attacks, oh man, 1, 2, 3, 4. Attacks have bleeding. Never mind, we can't play Spellcaster. You do get Pierce. You do get crit Pierce. You would have to sack this node. Why is it projectile attacks, GGG? Why not just projectiles? The chain would be beautiful. Man, Gathering Winds works really well with Spell Echo. So maybe I'll sack the node. Spell Echo, Gathering Winds is a pretty good combination because of the amount of more cast speed multiplier you get. That's what the idea I had between it. But if you lose out an entire Ascendancy, you only get proj speed for this. RIP. You can do Magma Orb, though. You get Skills Chain plus 1 time. Projectiles deal 10% more damage each time they're chaining, and then you put on Gloomfang. It would actually be pretty good. This node is bad, so you go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then sack this node entirely. Feels bad. They started by giving projectile damage, which is a step in the right direction, but accuracy rating and attack speed is not global enough. The Tailwind, I guess they want her to stay attacked. So maybe not with the Spellcaster. I tried. Feels bad. If this worked for spells, I'd probably be all over it. With all that said, I'll be doing a lot of Theorycraft sessions this league. I was really disappointed that the skill tree didn't get buffed. So I will end on this note. Thanks everyone for tuning in. If you want to watch anything with me live, well, you can, where you could see dank memes like this. Feels Wolverine, man. GGG, I hope your next league is called Path of Exile 3.3 Skill Tree Ascendancy, where the skill tree ascends and you can buy MTXs that make you look like the skill tree, so you could be a walking skill tree, so we could finally get skill points and actually, play something new. We haven't had a new skill tree since what? Breach League? Legacy League? Somewhere around there. So 2016. End of 2016. It's pretty rough. With that said, I'm out. Thanks for tuning in. Much love and respect.